Showtime.
Just in my mind, I can really make you bleed. Is there a how-to recipe on how to find memory? On how to find memory.
Welcome, everyone, to the Rosie and Bill Show. Our guest this week is truly a star on the rise. Her powerful voice and positive outlook combine for a 1-2 punch that will leave you wanting for more. Please welcome to the Rosie and Bill Show the pride of Rogersville, Missouri, Laura Ashley. Laura, welcome to the show.
Oh, hello. Thank you so much for having me. I'm pumped to be here. Appreciate it.
Hi, Laura. It's great to have you here.
Thank you so much.
To start this off, I'm really curious because when Bill and I were talking about this, before you moved to Nashville in 2020, right?
Yes.
You were training and performing in a genre far removed from country music.
You could say that.
Well, what inspired the transition from opera to Opry?
Sure. Yes. Oh, I like that. I haven't heard that before. Opera to Opry. Well done.
You thank Bill for that.
That was good. I really, really like it. Well, honestly, growing up, I didn't know anybody doing country music, and I knew I loved to sing, and so I started taking lessons. And at the time, for some reason, there were really only classical music lessons around, and so I was like, "Well, I love to sing. Well, I guess this is my option to advance and become a better singer." And so, man, I went at it all the way into college. I was a vocal performance major, and that's when you just got really deep into opera, and you're doing all kinds of arias and German and French and Italian and all things like that. But I kind of grew up in a really rural area, and I've had the same horse since I was 8 years old. And so I was just absolutely crazy about her. I still have her now. Her name's Little Bit. And so a lot of times I would go to school, and when I get off from school, I would just instantly run up to the barn, go see my horse, and go hop on and go on an adventure. And so I just absolutely adore the outdoors. I love everything about just the country lifestyle. And so I got to that point in college where I was like, I'm doing so many arias and other songs that have been written for hundreds of years when I have so much to say. And I think there's so much beauty in the world, and I want to put my own spin on it. So I hit that breaking point in opera because it was so time consuming. I had no other time to actually dive into country music. And it was really my sister who kind of pushed me a little bit over the edge to actually go for it. I didn't really think I had the talent for the longest time, or like, how do I go from opera to country, even though that's what I'm passionate about? But kind of took, a little leap of faith, and I'm so glad I did. I don't think opera was a good fit for me at all. So,
were you a soprano?
I was a mezzo soprano. So yeah, just a little bit deeper, a little bit richer vocals. But yeah, and there was I learned a lot, and there was a lot that I enjoyed, but country music is definitely is home for my heart and my vocal cords.
Was that a difficult transition?
Yes and no. It's one of those things. I would always sing along with the radio, and obviously I wasn't harmonizing in an operatic tone to, with what I was hearing on the radio. So I knew I had some potential with country music, but it was, a transition from all the practicing, because it's just a completely different part of your voice that you're really working from. So it just took a little bit of diligence to develop my voice in that country standard way because it was already developed in the opera way. So there was a lot that I could draw from opera to help train that side of my voice. So yeah, it's been an adventure and worth every bit of work though, for sure.
Laura, there was another aspect of country music you were involved in, and that was being a part of an award-winning country music radio station. So
Yes.
what I'm curious about is, did that experience in any way impact or influence you as the artist you've become?
I would have to say absolutely. I got to meet so many record label people and artists just in general, and just I got to see how kind the country music scene can really be. I mean, there's a lot of aspects that can be just, a little harsh, a little challenging. But as far as the actual artists that you meet, everyone was so humble and just beautifully spoken and kind and always willing to give, shout outs to their other artist friends. And that was just really, really nice to see. I'm such a people pleaser, so I love being around really genuine, authentic people. And so I felt like I could really relate to the artists that were coming in on the show. And yeah, it was an absolutely wonderful experience. And I did get to see more on the radio side of things and really enjoyed that. And that's kind of why I actually stayed in Missouri so long and didn't move to Nashville sooner, is because just being in radio, I felt like I was just meeting a lot more people than maybe I would just jumping into Nashville and trying to network right off the bat. And I'm glad I did. I got a lot of experience and I adore radio. It's so much fun. Yeah.
94.7 Country's Best. Today's KTTS. My name is Laura Ashley. It is an easy winning weekend, and right now, it is time. Caller 7 wins a pair of tickets to see Dylan Scott at the Kansas Crossing Casino Friday, August 11th. Plus,
it's an adventure. I loved it.
Did that mold how you market yourself? Do you have any ins to radio station that you wouldn't have if you didn't work for one?
Yeah, that is a tough question. It's kind of sad. The program director that I was initially under, he was very, very well known in Nashville as well, but he got cancer and he passed away. And I absolutely adored him, but he had just incredible connections. And after he was gone, it was a lot more challenging to have the same connections in the music scene. So we did lose a lot of that when we lost him, and definitely still miss him every day. But it was still, it was still good to peek behind the scenes. I think I didn't have as much hand in marketing because I was kind of an on-air personality, which I would love to still learn more about the marketing side of things. I'm still learning that too, to promote myself more and more efficiently.
Well, and that's something too, where I think even with country radio, there's so much of a corporate sort of, a lot of things coming from other places. There's not as much individual selection or whatever, if you will, of local airplay and things, because things are more corporate now
Right.
than they used to be. But you talked about sort of that camaraderie and community, of the artists, and that really is something that we've enjoyed. And we've had the blessing of so many incredible talents, from established stars to up and coming stars. And one of the other things that I love about country music, because I've been a country music fan since Chris Ledoux brought me in the early 90s.
Yeah.
And then that was it. He did a lot with horses too. But
yeah.
One of the other things is the lyrics. And you do, in my opinion, do a great job of taking negative life experiences and turning them into positive ones through your lyrics, through your music. What inspired that approach to your music?
Honestly, in my early 20s, I dated a horrible person, and I grew up just really wanting the best for people. And part of the reason I stayed in that relationship so long is because I cared so much about this person. And in the end, it was just ended up being really, really bad for me. But just taking a step back, I can see that it's very, very common in the world for people dating toxic people, or, not really having your heart's best interest at mind when you're dating somebody. And I just realized how important that is. And so I just love honesty and transparency. So I wanted to kind of just showcase a couple of songs about that kind of heartbreak and really challenging times, but be able to do that from a standpoint now that I'm the happiest I've ever been. I got married last year, and he's just the absolute best guy I could ever dream up. And at that time, when I was just dating that horrible person, I never thought I could actually be truly happy. So it's fun to write about these stories from this back standpoint, knowing that it does get better, that it can get better, that it's possible, and just really wanted to share that because I think people, when they're in those dark times, it's really, really hard to see that it can get better because you're just so stuck in the dumps sometimes. So I just want to be there to nudge people forward, honestly.
Well, that's definitely needed. There is no question about that,
Yeah.
because quite often people don't see a way out of things. So
Right.
that's very important work that you're doing through your art. Now, was this experience the inspiration for the Wish I Told My Heart song that you just released?
Yeah. You nailed it. Yes, absolutely. It was the inspiration completely behind this song. I did have several co-writers on this song with me though, so I got to share a lot of just muck about that relationship with them, but we all kind of worked together to try to eloquently put it out there.
It's like going to confession, isn't it, sometimes when you write?
Yeah, there's definitely just vulnerability to it because you always hope that no one will ever try to take, your experiences and use them against you to, you never know what people are capable of sometimes, but I have a hard time not being authentic. So I kind of have to.
But you have to be willing to open up, like bare that your heart like that.
Right.
And say, well, okay, I'm letting a lot of people I don't even know in, but that there is something that's very endearing and does draw people in, the authenticity of that.
Oh,
What does your husband say about these?
He is the best. Oh my gosh, he's incredibly understanding, and I'm kind of moving past like the writing of the sad stuff because I kind of got it out of my system. So we should be having a lot more, some bangers to have a good time to coming up. But no, he's so understanding and knows that really writing some of the rough stuff is a part of healing and moving on. So honestly, he's the absolute best. I can't sing his praises enough.
Oh, is he in the music business too?
He is not, but I think he's having fun getting, to take a peek behind, the lens of everything that goes on into it. I think it's eye-opening for a lot of people because it's a lot more complex than it seems from the outside.
Well, one thing, Laura, that's pretty clear to me, and I'm just going to throw it out there to you right now before we go any further, because you just, I said in the beginning about your positive outlook, and you really do just radiate that positivity and niceness and authenticity. But there's another aspect that I'm curious about. What's it like to get up every day and absolutely love what you do? You clearly do.
Oh, you know what? It's priceless. And it's funny. I almost feel guilt for it sometimes because I know so many people want to chase their dreams and might not be in the position to do so. So it's not something that I take lightly. I know what I have right now to be able to do that. And I might not be able to do this my entire life. So I think it's so important to take every, really understand that every moment is so precious and to not I guess a big thing is just enjoying the journey and not so much pining just for the destinations, because if you do that, then you're going to look back one day and not really appreciate all that you did, that it took to get where you are. So it is an adventure, and I'm just so grateful for it, and I love it. And I'm still learning too. It's not one of those things where you have an end goal. You're just constantly growing, and so every day it's just trying to take a step in the right direction. And yeah, like I said, I'm so grateful that I'm in this position right now.
And the thing about it is, if you're attached to the outcome only,
right,
then it won't sow seeds of joy. It could, be more like frustration and bitterness. And I
right.
think that it really resonates with people when artists or anyone is really in the present and really grateful and enjoying where they are right now.
Right, absolutely. Yeah, it's easy to kind of lose focus or just look too far ahead when the present is just so beautiful. And this sounds so cheesy, but gratitude definitely just changes your life. Like at any given time, there's just 100 things that are going right in your life, and you really have to choose to look at those and not the things that you feel like are going wrong. And
Mm.
it's hard because it's something you've got to work on to keep that outlook positive, and that's something that I'm really working on in 2022, because I think a lot of the narrative that we see about the world is negative right now, and so you really have to combat that, because it is a beautiful world. Like a million beautiful things are happening all the time. So just focusing on that, I think, just really changes your life and just makes you more optimistic. It can make things happen that way. So yeah.
And
I
Totally agree.
Yeah, and even though on some days you may have to look a little farther or a little harder to find the positive things, I think
Right.
if you do it enough, you start finding the positives easier and more often because you're
completely.
more alert for them, right? And one other thing I have to go back to, because you made so many great points there. But one thing that I'm just going to reinforce to you, because I really think, as I said in the very beginning, you really are a star on the rise and the possibilities are limitless. And one of the reasons why is something you just said a couple of minutes ago, when you said that, you got to keep developing and learning and growing.
Mhm.
And we've had guests on who are Hall of Famers, who had hits 30, 40 years ago, and they're still growing and learning, and still in some cases taking voice lessons. These are world-renowned, so they're constantly developing and growing. So I think if you keep that along with everything else, that is definitely a recipe for success.
Oh, well, I appreciate you saying that. Yeah, and it's good because it means you're never really going to be stagnant. And so there's always something new to look forward to.
Yeah. Now, speaking of things to look forward to, and again, love the new single. What else might your fans have to look forward to here as 2022 moves forward?
Yeah, absolutely. I will have some more new music coming out in the form of singles this year as well. I'll be doing shows, I'll be doing writers' rounds, and I can't announce the specifics yet, but I did just get a fabulous brand deal that will help me bring some more content to y'all. So I'm really, really excited about that. And honestly, I should have more information on that this week that I can actually share. So there's a lot of great things going on in 2022. So I'm very, very excited.
Well, Laura, thank you so much for joining us and sharing all of your stories and your journey with us. And we know you've got a bright future ahead, and we're so grateful that you came on our show.
Well, thank you. I'm delighted, and I'm super honored that that I'm here in the first place, and I admire y'all's work, because it's for every independent artist that you guys feature, it does absolutely help us, and obviously artists that aren't independent as well. But we definitely appreciate it. I know that much. So thank you.
Hey, because of you, we get, not only do you get to do what you love to do, we get to do what we love to do. So everybody wins. It's a beautiful thing.
It's a win-win.
That's right, for sure. Well, without further ado, we are going to share Laura's newest single, Wish I Told My Heart. So folks, thank you so much for tuning in. Laura, thanks for joining us, and we will see you all next week.
Then painted over what you saw. Have you heard your life in a song, but turned it down and didn't sing along? wish I told my